And I actually went to a seminar by the Iron Cowboy. Do you know who that is?
Ooh. No,
He's the one that ran 100 Ironmans in 100 days.
Oh my
And he's a super inspirational guy, one of my mentors now. And he, in his like talk, he said, when was the last time you intentionally made yourself uncomfortable? And when he said that, I was like, why in the world would I intentionally make myself uncomfortable? Like, I want to be comfortable. That's like the whole goal of financial freedom and living a life you want to live is living an easy life. Like, I don't want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But what I've learned is if you want to live a hard life, make it easy. If you want to live an easy life, make it hard.
Hey, to whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so quit your worrying. I get it, the odds can stack back against the wall, but even consider it such, know you'll stand tall. Sat and watched from the sidelines, one too many times. Wicked games we play make me wanna lose my mind. Found solitude, knowing it'll be over soon. Ever need a boost, count on me for the 1-2.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Wage Breakers podcast. Today we are joined with Kade Peterson. Kade Peterson is what some people might call a social media influencer. That's how I surely know him. But it's not just like the typical influencer that you think of where he's, sharing recipes or, fit checks or stuff like that. He encourages people to get out of their comfort zone and try new things and do hard things as well. He's got an accumulation of almost 2 million followers on all his platforms. We're going to let Kade introduce himself a little bit more.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. Kade Peterson. I think most people know me as the person who does crazy things to get out of their comfort zone. So for the last 2.5 years, I've been sharing my journey of getting out of my comfort zone in every way possible and posting on social media and inviting others to do the same.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm not sure if you actually know this, but I commented on one of your car dancing videos like a couple days back, like a couple weeks back, where I said, like, one day we're going to see each other at a stoplight and we're just going to have some good old Mexican standoff.
Okay. Oh, dude, I actually do remember that comment. I do remember that comment.
And you commented back and I was like, oh, this is my chance,
Did you comment back?
I commented back.
Okay, I didn't see it.
Well, what I did is I commented like a time and place, like we meet up this time, this place, and I showed up actually.
Oh, you did?
And I was like,
shoot, I'm sorry, bro.
I know you didn't comment back. I was like, there's no way he shows up.
That'd have been cool.
So I thought it was pretty funny. I was introduced to you and your content by a friend of mine. His name is Rhett Anderson. He said he was in the same ward as you.
Yeah, I love Rhett.
Yeah, so he's my roommate right now. I served my mission with him in El Salvador. And he's like, I know this guy. You should totally get him on your podcast, Kade Peterson. And I was like, okay, cool. Went and looked you up, saw some of your videos, and I realized that I'd actually seen like some of your dancing in the car videos before, and I was like, this is sick. I love this.
Yeah.
And after that, I just started like, watching more of your stuff and trying to find a way to get you on the podcast. And I noticed one of your buddies, Jackson, was working with me over at iHub, and I was like, dude, this is it. This is my in. Cool. And it worked. So
well, I'm happy to be here, dude.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
You here. And so
sorry I didn't show up.
No, it's totally fine.
That's funny.
I thought it was pretty funny as well. So I want to get started just figuring out a little bit more about you. Like, what were you like growing up? Like, what dreams and aspirations did you have?
That's a great question. I actually love that question because I feel like as a kid, everyone had like a goal and a dream. Like, if you ask any kid, like, what do you want to be when they grow up? They're like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a professional of this. I want to do that. I want to do that. Like, some of the things that I wanted to be when I was a kid, I wanted to be like a mailman. I wanted to be a dentist. I wanted to be a professional basketball player. Like, it constantly changed.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you always wanted to be something. And then somewhere along the way, people like ditch their ideology of like, I can be anything. And people just kind of settle for what they're given. And so I didn't become like what I wanted to be as a kid, but I would say I have lived up to my childhood expectations of becoming the person that I wanted to be. Whatever it was that I wanted to be, I'm going to achieve it. So I didn't become a mailman, but...
That's too bad. I would have loved to have you.
All right. But I would say, like, whatever it is that I do want to do in my life, like, I'm going to go and achieve it and still have that childhood mentality.
Yeah. I actually really like that. I am the type of person who gets like a hobby or something and I get really, really into it. And so as soon as I get really into something, I get kind of obsessed with it. And I think like, how far could this go? Like,
Yeah.
I did card tricks for a little bit. I was like,
I did too.
I could, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I was like, maybe I could, be on Vegas one day, have my own show. And like ultimately it didn't really pan out. Like
Yeah.
the fire went out more than just like my ability. And that's happened with a couple things. I played lacrosse growing up, and so I was like, I could be a professional lacrosse player. Like
Yeah.
I could do it. And so I think, do you just want to be something, or do you want to just be great at something, or do you want to, love what you do?
Yeah.
So
What I'd add to that is I feel like so many people will say, oh, I would do anything to look like that person, or I would do anything to play the piano like that person. They say this like, oh, I wish I could, when in reality, you don't, because if you would do anything, you would put in the hours of practice to play the piano. You would put in the hours of the gym and follow a diet to look like that person. And so whatever it is that you want to achieve, it's totally possible. It's just, are you willing to go through the discomfort and have the discipline to achieve it?
totally, I totally agree. And ultimately what we always think about on this podcast, and me and my co-host Morgan, we talk about is like designing your life. You have full control over what your life looks like. You just have to have the courage and the discipline and whatever to go and get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more than anything, you have to learn how to have the discipline and learn these things. I'm not sure if you've experienced that, but we're experiencing like learning the soft skills of like discipline and confidence and consistency are things that you need to like learn over time. You can't just flip it on like a light switch and like you have it or you don't. And I'm not sure if you've experienced anything like that in your journey of doing, like getting out of your comfort zone and striving to do hard things all the time. Have you experienced anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. Something I always tell people is motivation is crap. The thing with motivation is it comes and goes. It's temporal. So someone could feel motivated to follow a diet. Someone could feel motivated to learn to play the piano. Someone could feel motivated to study or do all of these things, especially like around the new year. Everyone makes these goals and they feel this motivation, but it's impossible to stay motivated at all times. And so the key is to not try and stay motivated. It's to develop discipline. Discipline is the ability to do things even when you don't want to do it. So when motivation comes, that is when you really need to like kick in and do whatever it is that you're trying to do. So like with all my comfort zone stuff, what I'm doing is I'm intentionally making myself uncomfortable and intentionally doing things that I don't want to do. And the result of that is I'm training myself to do things when I don't want to do that, and which in short is discipline. So I'm teaching myself to be disciplined to do things when I don't want to do it. And any successful person, doesn't matter in what field, has discipline. It's the only way to achieve the greatest success is to do things when you don't want to do it.
Okay, I really, really like that because my biggest thing is like motivation. I kind of force motivation on myself, like listen to motivational speeches or whatever, because I don't feel like I've fully developed that hard discipline yet to do stuff when I don't want to do it. What is some actionable advice that you have that we could start implementing like today to start developing that discipline?
Yeah, that's a great, and I'm not like saying motivational speakers and like motivation is bad,
Yeah.
because I love the feeling of motivation. I mean, like part of what I want to do is to motivate people, and I love going to conferences and listening to motivational speakers and feeling that. It's a fun feeling. It's just dangerous to rely on it. So what I always tell people is discipline is not something that is given, it's something that's learned and earned. So anyone is capable of developing discipline. It doesn't matter who you are capable of developing discipline, and the only way to do it is to get out of the comfort zone. So, I mean, that's what I'm gonna be talking a lot about on this podcast. It's like my whole mantra is there's no growth inside the comfort zone. You can't achieve anything great in this life inside the comfort zone. So if you want to develop discipline, again, you have to be willing to do things that you don't want to do. And so starting, like actionable things that you can do, starting off so small, do things that you don't want to do, like eat right, go to the gym, wake up, like something so simple, and follow through with it. I think a lot of times when we tell someone like, hey, I'm gonna come meet you at this time, or I'm gonna do this and that, we like to follow through with our word with people, but a lot of times we don't follow through with ourselves. If we say, I'm going to do this tomorrow at this time, and then that time comes and we're not motivated, we're like, no one's going to like punish me if I don't do this.
Yeah.
So it's super important to be true to yourself, be honest with yourself. So whatever you tell yourself you're going to do, you need to follow through, because you're not trustworthy with yourself if you don't follow through with it. So my counsel is just to do anything and everything to get out of your comfort zone in any aspect, because that is what just trains you to be better at doing things that you don't want to do.
You mentioned like keeping the promises you make to yourself, because you keep the promises you make to other people. Like you wouldn't just not show up to lunch with someone when you've already planned it, right? But you would also just to yourself, you do it all the time. You don't get up whenever you set the alarm. You don't go to bed when you say you're supposed to. You don't go to the gym whenever you said you're going to, or you don't resist that food that someone offered you whenever you said in your heart, like, I'm going to resist it. And I think something that came to my head recently about this, about how I can do it better, is, tell me what you think about this, is to, like, whenever you make yourself, like, a promise, like, I'm going to bed at this time, or I'm going to wake up at this time, you write it down. So, like, this is the promise I'm making to myself, which is, I'm going to bed at 6:30. Or, not, well, how would you go to bed at 6:30? That's crazy.
Hey, I mean,
But you're waking up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's great.
You're going to bed at 10:30, you're waking up at 6:30, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that feels a little bit more real, like I'm making a commitment, rather than this is an idea I have on how I want tomorrow to go, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that would work?
Yeah, I love it. I think everyone is different, and everyone is going to have different ways to hold themselves accountable. And if you want to, like, tell someone, like, hey, I have this goal, like my friend Jackson that you referenced, me and him oftentimes share, like, goals with each other. Like, he just told me last week, he's like, hey, I want to go to the gym every day this week. And him telling me that is, I'm now going to hold him accountable. But at the end of the day, he still is the one that has to do it. So yeah, if writing it down or telling someone or giving yourself, like, I don't know, some like punishment or something, I don't know, everyone's different. So you just got to figure out what works for you, what is going to ultimately get you to do that thing that you don't want to do, and do it.
Okay, yeah. Another idea that I'm just thinking of right now is planning your day to do something that you don't want to do. Like, I'm going to use this time to do something that I'm uncomfortable doing, so that it's not like, oh, whether I'm going to go to the gym and see if I'm motivated when I get there. It's like, today I'm doing something uncomfortable, which is going to the gym at this time. And I think doing it consciously, not just subconsciously, consciously, to make an effort to break through those barriers and get out of your comfort zone, I think would help a lot.
Yeah, I always tell people the best time to do something is when you least want to do it. So you can say, yeah, I'm going to wake up at this time in the morning, but when that time comes, you don't want to get up. And that's the moment when you really need to go. You could feel motivated to go to the gym and be super good for like 2 weeks. You're feeling good, but then one day you kind of feel sick, kind of feel tired. That is the best time to go, because when you can do things when you don't want to do it, that's when you're like totally rewiring your brain to be in control, because your brain instinctually wants to be in comfort. It wants to not leave the comfort zone. So when you can just overpower that, like, your limits are endless.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about where this idea of, like, conquer your comfort zone came from? Did it just stem from you and your life, or did someone else inspire it?
Yeah, it's a great question. It happened about 2.5 years ago. Just going through a stage of life where I felt like I was living beneath my potential, just trying to make new goals, just change who I was. It wasn't like I was like in like a bad state. I just knew I could do more. Like going through a breakup and just like, man, what's like, I have all these dreams and aspirations. What's holding me back from doing it? And I actually went to a seminar by the Iron Cowboy. Do you know who that is?
Ooh. No,
He's the one that ran 100 Ironmans in 100 days.
Oh my
He's a super inspirational guy, one of my mentors now. And he, in his like talk, he said, when was the last time you intentionally made yourself uncomfortable? And when he said that, I was like, why in the world would I intentionally make myself uncomfortable? Like, I want to be comfortable. That's like the whole goal of financial freedom and living a life you want to live, is living an easy life. Like, I don't want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But what I've learned is, if you want to live a hard life, make it easy. If you want to live an easy life, make it hard. And so he spoke on, if you intentionally seek discomfort, you're training yourself to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so like in all of his stuff that he's done, like it's now second nature for him when he feels that discomfort. Like, I'm not gonna quit. Like, I know what this feels like. I can push through. But if being uncomfortable is foreign to you, like, there's so many ways in this world to like get those dopamine hits, like drugs, pornography, alcohol addictions, social media. There's so much stuff out there that you can like live a easy, fun life. But then when you are so consumed in that, anytime you experience a trial, which you will, we all experience hard things in life, it rattles you so much more when you are in a life of comfort. But if you're in a life of discomfort, like you're comfortable with it, next time you feel like a trial or challenge, it's like, okay, I know what this feels like. I can get through this. And so the more you can get out of your comfort zone, the more comfortable it is. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of went on a tangent there. I'm super passionate about this topic.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love hearing whenever people are very passionate about what they do.
Oh, so you asked about what started it. So yeah, after I heard him talk, I went home that night, wrote down all my fears, everything that could possibly make me uncomfortable. And I was like, I have to do like this. And so I have to do all of these. So for the next 30 days, I did what I call the uncomfortable 30, where I do one thing every day to get out of my comfort zone. And I just started doing every single thing that could possibly make me uncomfortable. And it totally changed my life.
And is that where you started documenting it?
Yeah, that was the first time. Yeah, I started documenting. Was day one of leaving my comfort zone. Was when I started documenting it. It was right after that seminar, and I did that for 30 days.
Wow. And how was documentation of this and like using TikTok and Instagram changed your life?
It's a great question. Yeah, when I decided I wanted to do this, I thought about it and I was like, okay, do I want to share this with people? Like, is this something? Originally, I was just gonna do it by myself, and then I was like, I feel like this could be powerful. Like, I feel like I'm not the only one that wants to better themselves, and I was like, I feel like this could help a lot of people and it'd hold me accountable. Like, if I post on social media, hey, this is day 1 of 30, all of a sudden tomorrow, like, people are gonna be expecting day 2.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is gonna hold me accountable, and I think it's gonna change my life, and it can help other people. So it'd be selfish of me not to share this journey. So that's what ultimately inspired me to share it. And obviously, 2.5 years later, I created this following just of leaving my comfort zone, sharing my journey, and ultimately helping other people to do the same.
Wow. And in that process, have you found yourself working really hard at being a creator, or does it just come naturally where you just document and post?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. A lot of people see my social media and they think like I'm a full-time content creator, but I'm actually not. I have like way too many. I think I have like, I don't even know how many businesses I have. I have just way too much on my plate, and a problem I have is I spread myself too thin, and so I'm currently trying to figure out like, okay, I gotta like drop some things and just focus in on what is most important to me. And the social media aspect, I enjoy it. It's something that's fun for me. And so I look at it more of a standpoint of helping myself and helping other people than I do at a standpoint of like making money from it. Because it's not a real source of income for me. It's more of just a passion of mine and something I want to do long term.
Wow. And what is the real reason why you're doing this? I know that you've talked about like you feel very passionate about leaving your comfort zone and you getting better, but like why are you helping other people to get better?
Yeah, my goal in life is to inspire, influence, and help as many people as possible to be the best versions of themselves. So the reason, my why is the messages I get every day from people who say, okay, like I did this today, or I was so inspired by what you did here and I want to do this, or I stopped doing this because of your videos. And that is just so fulfilling for me to see people change their lives, because like, if I could just take what I've learned from leaving my comfort zone and just share it with everyone, if people could understand like what I know, everyone would want to do this, because nothing great in this life comes inside the comfort zone. There's no growth that happens inside the comfort zone. You can't be the best version of yourself inside the comfort zone. If you think about any moment in your life This is for like the listeners, a moment in your life when you felt so much joy, whether it was getting married, having a kid, graduating, going on a vacation, whatever it is. Like we all have these like special moments in our life. You will realize that the reason why these moments were so special is because they came from a time of hardship, a time of discomfort, where you had to work, where you had to go through these trials, and then you came out on top, and that's what made that moment so sweet. So leaving the comfort zone is just so beautiful, and my why is I just want people to achieve their potential and live the life that they want to live.
Yeah, love that. What has been one of your favorite things that you've done, like when you've left your comfort zone?
This is a great question. So many things just came in my head. Okay, I would say I love some of the things that I've done for the first time. I think something I always like to ask people is, when was the last time you did something for the first time? I think we live in a world of comfort where we go through these day-to-day routines and we eat the food that we like, we do the activities that we like, and we don't break out and meet new people, try new activities, try new foods, new locations. And so part of my comfort zone challenges is I do a lot of stuff that I've never tried before, eating a lot of foods that I've never eaten before, tried a lot of activities. And that is so fun. Like when I first go do it, it's like, this is scary. Like, so jujitsu, for example. I went and did jujitsu, and it humbled the crap out of me. And it was like, sorry, what?
I took a class here, like one day, I got beat by everybody. It was so bad. I was like, oh, this is not good for
and
me.
it was crazy. I feel like I'm a pretty strong person, and some of the people I was fighting, I was like, okay, like, I can beat you. And then like after 10 seconds, I'm like tapping out. I'm like, that is crazy. So it was super fun. One of the ones I did is I went to like a high fit dance class. I was like the only guy there. And I'm like super nervous going into this class, intimidated by all these girls who know what they're doing. And I'm just some guy coming to dance. And I was super nervous, but then I did it. And I was like, you know what, this is fun. This is a good time. So I've done a lot of things that I never would have done. But then once I did it, I was like, wait, this is so fun. Life is so fun when you just try things that you've never done before.
Yeah, I agree. I can't think of a single time where I've tried something and I've regretted it.
Right, exactly. And if you don't like it, it's like, okay, well, now you know. You know, like trying a new food, people are like, I don't like this. Well, now you know you don't ever have to get it again. Yeah.
One of my favorite things is whenever we go on vacation, we try and do stuff like that. For example, when we were in the Philippines, we went and we walked around in like kind of like the slums. Like my uncle, he served there, and so he was able to talk to people and whatever. So we just walked back kind of into the slums. And I was like 12, I think. Mm-hmm. And we just came upon some girl who was singing karaoke. She had like a karaoke machine. And she was like, you guys want to try? And we're like, no, we're not singers. Like, we don't sing. Especially like some 12-year-old in the Philippines singing karaoke. Like, no, not happening. And my dad's like, when else are you going to be in the Philippines singing karaoke? Like, never in your whole life is that going to happen again. And we're like, yeah, you're right. It was still awful. Like, we still, like, we're so bad at it. But it was like, I don't regret that, because it's something that my dad would always say is, like, it's either a good time or a good story. You know? Like,
love that.
And so, like, I love also just telling stories, and usually the ones that, like, kind of suck are the best stories. Yeah. And then if not, like, you just had a good time.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. That's what life is all about. Just living in the moment and doing things that you've never done before. Good. I love that. Good. It makes for a good time or a good story, or both.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so for you personally, what is a big win that you've had recently?
Oh wait, this is a great question. So a lot of people. So I do this Uncomfortable 30 once a year. I do it at the beginning of every year to kind of start off my year with a bang. And then people always say, like, okay, are you just doing it for social media? Like, is this what you actually do? Do you continue to do challenges? And it's definitely become a part of who I am. And it's kind of a curse, because anytime someone's like, hey, Kade, like, we should do this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And they're like, come on, get uncomfortable. And it's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, anytime I'm presented with something that is uncomfortable, a part of me is like, I got to do this. Like, this
I now have to.
Yeah.
It's who I am.
Yeah.
Part of my persona.
Yeah. So I definitely, like, not everything I do I post on social media. So I definitely live a life trying to always be outside the comfort zone, and I'm very comfortable with it now. I still get uncomfortable, obviously. But anyways, last week, literally a week ago, I was going down to St. George, southern Utah with some friends, and there was a race, a marathon, half marathon going down. And some of my friends were racing. I actually have wanted to do a race for the longest time, but I keep getting injured anytime I train.
Yeah.
And one of my friends posted on their story and was like, hey, I got surgery. I need someone to run in my spot. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing this. So I called him. I'm like, hey, like, race is in 12 hours. How can we make this happen? Got the ticket from them, the bib from them, and drove down to St. George. Got there at midnight. Went to bed at like 1. Woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I track my sleep, and I literally got 2 hours of sleep. Woke up and drove to the race and ran a half marathon. And I wouldn't say I was untrained, but I was definitely not trained for it.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy experience. Like, I woke up and the girls that were going to do the race, they were nice enough to let me come with them last minute. And I woke up and I was like, hey, is there like breakfast here? Like, is there any food? And they're like, you didn't bring food? And I was like, I didn't know. I just committed to this. Like, and so like I was very unprepared, but it was a fun experience, and I did it. And there's just something so sweet about doing something like very hard and accomplishing it. It's just very rewarding.
Yeah. Tell us about the song you had on repeat the whole time.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first 10 miles, like I was feeling good, and then the last 3 miles, it's like, dude, I'm feeling pretty good. And I threw on Star Wars. I don't even remember what it's called. It's like some like epic version.
Yeah.
And I just had that on repeat for the last 3 miles, and I was just like,
Cooking.
so pumped, like
Cooking.
so pumped, because I was just like, man, if I made it 10 miles, these last 3 are gonna be fine. And I was just cooking. I just had that on repeat the whole time, and it's fun. It's a good time.
That's awesome. My girlfriend also went down there and did the race.
Oh yeah.
So she was all super nervous that she ran a marathon last year, but she was super nervous that she didn't like train, and she was nervous that her first half marathon of her marathon was going to be better than this one. And so she was like, I don't even know. And then she called me afterwards. She's like, I did pretty good. And I was like, oh, good for you. And she's like, I won. And I was like, she like won for like her age
her
group
division,
and everything.
really?
Yeah. And so I was
Good
like,
for her.
You won?
Wow.
She's like, yeah, I beat everyone. And so I just
give her my props. That's awesome.
It was kind of funny. I was like, she thought she was gonna do so bad. And
that's a big race too. So good for her.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was like, wow, you're like, if you trained, if like you wanted to, you could compete.
Yeah, that's awesome. Something that I love about like running races and marathons is it's not a cheap thing. Like, people are paying hundreds of dollars to go run 13 to 26 miles. No one's forcing them to do it. So
and you can do it on your own.
You can do it on your own.
We could go out right now and run a marathon.
The majority of people in this world couldn't get paid hundreds of dollars to go do that. And yet there's, like, when I was on that bus and we got to the top, I was like, holy cow, there's thousands of people here. Every single one of them is running on 4 hours of sleep. Every single one of them paid to be here, and every one of them is about to go through hell running 26 miles or 13 miles. But that satisfaction of doing something hard, getting out of the comfort zone and achieving it, is just so rewarding that people do it over and over again and are willing to pay that money to see how far they can go.
I also think, like, college and degrees, like, a lot of times you don't use the degree that you get in college, but it's like the process of like going to college, doing everything hard and learning like along the way and like making it to the end. And that's like the real satisfying part of it, even more than like the education, because you're going to go into your field and you're going to learn so much more. And so I think that's probably the best part of life, is when you get to the other side of discomfort. And I think a lot of times people just forget that. They're just like, the best times that you've had are whenever you're out of your comfort zone and you make it out the other side.
For sure.
Yeah.
Love that.
So for you, let's just wrap this up with asking you, what do you hope to achieve moving forward in the future? What do you see?
Yeah, I've got big dreams and aspirations. ultimately, just kind of going back to what we were already talking about, just helping as many people as possible to be the best versions of themselves. And just teaching people that whatever it is that they want to achieve in life, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, financial, whatever it is, you're not going to achieve it in the comfort zone. And I just want to help as many people understand that. I wish that I could get on here and be like, hey, you could do this, 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 and it's going to make life easier, and it'll help you overcome your fear, help you do this and that. But there is no shortcut to success. There is no shortcut to avoiding fears. You just have to face it straight on, and you have to get uncomfortable. That's the sad truth. But once you do it, you realize it's not as bad as what you thought. Something I always want to teach people is being uncomfortable is never as bad, nor does it last as long as your brain makes it out to be. So I just want to help people get out of their comfort zone and be the best version of themselves.
Awesome. I'm not sure if you have listened to Chris Williamson or Modern Wisdom at all, the podcast.
Is he he has a shaved head, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Buzz head, a little bit of scruff.
Yeah.
And he said something that really just kind of like came to me whenever you were talking about this, and it was like, the progress you're seeking is in the work you're avoiding.
Love that.
Like, the progress you're seeking is in the work you're avoiding.
I have that written on my whiteboard right underneath my vision board.
Really?
That comes of him, yeah.
Yeah, and like, I still have a problem really applying that, but
Yeah,
it hits home.
We all do. I have a problem with it too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one of my biggest takeaways from this is to go write down all the work I'm avoiding, you know,
Yeah.
and the things that make me feel uncomfortable, and go ahead and go
Yeah.
do them, because that's going to make the biggest impact, and, you know, make your life a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah. And what I'd add to that is I think it's easy for those like listening to this podcast, or for you or for me in this moment, like we feel this motivation to go and do that. We feel this motivation to go and conquer the world and go do those things that we don't want to do. But then when that time comes, you're not going to want to do it. So just be ready for that. And you have to be able to do it even when you don't want to do it. Because I love that, the progress. I think I wrote down maybe I did write down the progress. The progress you're wanting is in the work you're avoiding. There's no shortcut. Whatever it is that you want in life, you have to get uncomfortable.
Yeah. Is there something you say to yourself whenever you get in that moment? Is there like a quote that you...
A bunch of stuff. Like I'll have like David Goggins in my head, like, who's gonna carry the boats? Yeah. I'll think about some of the stuff I've done in the past. You know, I've done a lot of crazy challenges. So like, did a 1,000 pull-up challenge. I did like 30,000 jump ropes. So like, next time I'm doing uncomfortable, it's like, okay, I've done worse. I can do this.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times I say, okay, I just need to start. If you can just start doing something, it gets easier. Like if you don't want to go to the gym, it's like, just get there. Once you're there, everything will change. Things get easier once you just get going. So it's just the starting. I've got all these different tools to help me, and everyone's different. So you just got to figure out, okay, how are you going to help yourself and get over that?
Awesome. Well, Kade, this was awesome. Thank you for coming on and sharing with us what you've learned and your mission and your why behind it all.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, to whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so quit your worrying. I get it, the odds seem stacked back against the wall, but even consider it such, know you'll stand tall. Sat and watched from the sidelines one too many times. Wicked games we play make me wanna lose my mind. Found solitude knowing it'll be over soon. Ever need a boost, count on me for the 1-2. Trouble don't last when the tough get going. Baby, all we do is win, so show me my